Time carries everyone forward, but what if time began pulling you backward? What if your life didn't start with childhood, but with old age? This is the story of the curious case of Benjamin Button, the story of a man who lived his life against the current of time. The film begins with an elderly woman. Her name is Daisy. Daisy is lying in a hospital room, resting on a bed. Her breathing is slow, and time is slipping from her grasp. Sitting beside her is her daughter, Caroline, taking care of her mother. In the city where this hospital stands, a big storm is about to hit. The sirens are about to go off. People are locking themselves inside their homes. In this very atmosphere, Caroline holds her mother's hand and says, "I had a friend who didn't even get to say goodbye to her mother one last time, but I'm lucky that I'm here with you." As she says this, she hugs her mother. "I'm going to miss you so much, Mom." Silence fills the room, and then an entire lifetime reflects in Daisy's eyes. In her final moments, she begins to remember her story, a story that began many years ago. The year is 1918. A new railroad station is being built. It was going to feature an enormous and magnificent clock. The responsibility of building this clock was given to a well-known clockmaker of his time, Mr. Gatto. Mr. Gatto was blind from birth. His wife was also blind. Even so, he made the finest clocks in the world. He had a son, after growing up, joined the army to serve his country. But at that very time, war had already broken out. Mr. Gatto left all his other work and focused only on that clock. Then one day, he received a letter. The letter said that his son had been killed in the war. The death of his young son shattered Mr. Gatto. Sometime later, his son's coffin returned, and he was buried in the family plot. Several months later, the station's grand opening took place. The president himself was present. The entire station was filled with people. All eyes were fixed on that grand clock. Mr. Gatto steps forward and turns on the clock. And then, something strange happens. Instead of moving forward, the clock begins to run backward. The entire station falls silent. Then Mr. Gatto says, "I built this clock in the hope that the young boys we lost in this war might one day return home, work in the fields, build their families, and live a full life. Perhaps my son too." Hearing his words, every head bows on its own. In memory of the fallen soldiers, the clock continues to run backward. And after that day, Mr. Gatto was never seen again. Some say he died, and some say he went far away toward the ocean. After this, from my suitcase, take out that diary, the same old diary, the one Daisy had read thousands of times in her life. And then the moment Caroline opens the first page of that diary, that's exactly where Benjamin Button's story begins. A story where life doesn't move forward like a clock, but in the opposite direction. When World War I ends, the entire city is drowning in celebration. The streets are packed with people. Everywhere there's noise filled with joy and relief. Amid this crowd, a man is walking quickly toward his home. His name is Thomas Button. Thomas's wife gives birth to a baby, but the moment the child is born, her condition begins to worsen rapidly. Before dying, she grabs Thomas's hand and says in a weak voice, "Promise me you'll take care of my baby." And with that, she leaves this world forever. With trembling hands, Thomas looks toward his child, and what he sees is nothing less than a nightmare. The baby doesn't look like a newborn at all. Instead, he looks like an extremely old infant. Terrified and panicking, Thomas picks up the baby and runs out of the house. He's just about to throw him into the river when a police officer spots him. Somehow, Thomas pulls himself together and escapes from the officer, but he doesn't keep the baby with him. He leaves him on the steps of an old age home, and without looking back, he walks away. Inside this old age home lives a married couple, Quinay and Tizzy. The two of them are walking down the stairs, complimenting each other and sharing sweet words. Suddenly, Tizzy accidentally bumps into the baby with his foot, and the baby starts crying loudly. When Quinay moves the cloth covering the child, she is stunned. In her arms lies a strange, weak, and unattractive baby. Tizzy says, "Leave him here," but Queenie Hart refuses to agree. Quietly, she takes the baby inside the house. She lays him inside a drawer and calls the doctor. The doctor examines the child and says, "He has cataracts. He can barely see. His ears are deaf. There is arthritis in his bones. His skin is like that of an 80-year-old man." The doctor clearly says, "This is not a baby. This is an old man who was born only to die." But Queenie refuses to accept this. She says, "As long as he's alive, I will raise him." She introduces the child to everyone and tells them that this baby belongs to her sister, who couldn't keep him. And that's when he is given a name, Benjamin, a child who was born old. Slowly, we also learn that Queenie herself cannot become a mother. Tizzy tries to explain to her that this child is not fit to be raised, and perhaps he may not even be human. But Queenie simply says, "No one knows what fate has written," and right there, Benjamin finds a home. But this was not the home of an ordinary child. It was an old age home, where people came to spend the last days of their lives. All around were faces tired from age, people walking slowly, the smell of medicines and stories of the past lingering in every room. In this very place, a child was going to grow up, a child who was born old, but whose life would move differently from everyone else in the world. Quinny begins taking care of Benjamin with all her love. She bathes him, feeds him, and even hums lullabies beside him at night. No matter how strange the world finds him, to Queenie he is just a child. In the early days, Benjamin is so weak that he cannot even sit on his own. The doctors repeatedly warn that this child will not live very long. But the days keep passing. As Benjamin grows a little older, his thinking is strange too. He always feels that he is like the others around him, an old man simply waiting for death. He looks out the window at children playing, laughing, running, falling, and his heart longs to run with them. But the truth is, he doesn't even know how to walk properly. Queenie often took him to church. She would mention her infertility to the priest, and the priest would pray for her. But whenever the topic turned to Benjamin, people would begin whispering, "Why can't this child walk?" Some even called it the devil's work. The priest, in his overconfidence, asks Benjamin his age. Benjamin replies in a calm voice, "I'm only 7 years old." Hearing this, everyone bursts into laughter because he looked no less than an old man. The priest orders him to stand up and walk. Benjamin takes 1 step and falls. Then he tries again. This time he manages to take 1, 2 steps. And just then, suddenly, the priest suffers a heart attack and dies right there. In the old age home, life and death were everyday occurrences. One day a birthday cake would be cut, and the next day a memorial service would be arranged. Benjamin watched people die every single day, but strangely, death never seemed to touch him. He lived among the elderly, who had long forgotten the troubles of their youth. Now their only concerns were the weather, the temperature of bath water, and the soft light of the evening. One day, he meets a friend of Tizzy there. The man takes him on a train to visit a distant town. After spending some time together, he leaves with a girl and tells Benjamin, "You head back home." Night had fallen. As he walked, blisters formed on his feet. But that day became the most beautiful day of his life, because for the first time he had traveled so far on his own. On Sundays, families would come to visit the old age home. That same day, an elderly woman arrived with her granddaughter. Her name was Daisy. Blue eyes, a calm face. The moment he saw her, Benjamin felt lost. During lunch, Queenie announces to everyone that God has answered her prayers and a baby is on the way to her home. But this news doesn't make Benjamin happy. That night, Daisy calls him to play. The two of them light a small candle under the table. Daisy smiles and says that today they will share their secrets. After a few moments of silence, Benjamin quietly admits the truth. He is not as old as he looks. His real age is the same as Daisy. But just then, suddenly, Daisy's grandmother arrives there. She immediately orders Daisy to go to her room, and glaring at Benjamin, she says, "You should be ashamed of yourself." She believes Benjamin is trying to take advantage of her granddaughter, but Benjamin doesn't even understand what he did wrong. Just then, his mother arrives. She makes him sit beside her and gently says, "You are different, Benjamin. You are a little boy, trapped inside the body of a grown man, and the world may never understand that." Benjamin asks sadly, "Mama, what's wrong with me?" His mother has no answer. She only says, "I don't know, but God will make everything right." And she holds him close. There was no blood relation, but the love was completely real. Sometime later, his baby sister is born. Now most of his mother's attention shifts to her because a newborn needs more care. And meanwhile, changes have already begun in Benjamin's body. Hair starts growing on him, and strangely he begins to feel better than before. In the old age home, there was one rule of life. Someone leaves, and someone new arrives. During this time, an elderly woman comes there to stay. She begins teaching Benjamin how to play the piano. But she doesn't just teach him notes, she teaches him emotion. She says, "How you play the piano doesn't matter. What matters is what you feel." The meaning was clear. Not technique, but the honesty of the heart truly matters. One day, Benjamin is sitting by the shore, watching boats. Suddenly, a man steps off a boat and shouts, "Anybody need a job?" $2. Silence all around. No one steps forward. And then, Benjamin stands up. "I'll do it." In that very moment, he gets the first job of his life. He is extremely happy. He feels like he would have done this job even for free. But here, he's getting $2. He works with all his strength on that boat. And the owner of that boat, Captain Mike Clark. He was a strict man, rough on the face, heavy in his voice. One day, laughing, he asked Benjamin, "How many girls have you slept with so far?" Benjamin answers without hesitation, "Not even one." At first, the captain doesn't believe him, but when he realizes Benjamin is telling the truth, he takes him to a brothel. There, a woman looks at him, smiles, and says, "You may look old on the outside, but inside, you're still young." That night, for the first time, Benjamin understands that the money you earn isn't just for surviving, it's also for feeling alive. Coincidentally, another man used to visit that same brothel often, Thomas Button. One evening, while returning from there, Thomas offers him a ride in his car. The two sit together in silence, then clink their glasses of whiskey. In the middle of their conversation, the topic reaches Benjamin's condition, and in that moment, a truth pierces Thomas. This is the same child, the one he had left to die at birth. He realizes Benjamin is his own son, but he cannot gather the courage to tell the truth. When he drops him home, he simply says before leaving, "We'll meet again." A few days later, Daisy returns to the old age home with her grandmother. The moment Benjamin sees her, a faint smile appears on his face. Maybe the world understands him or not, but Daisy's presence makes him feel better. One day, Benjamin suddenly says to Daisy, "Come, let me show you something." He takes her to the boat and requests Captain Mike to take them out on the river. The captain knows if anyone sees them, his license could be revoked. This wasn't just a ride, it was breaking the rules. But when he looks into Benjamin's eyes, he doesn't see stubbornness. He sees emotion, and he agrees. It was morning, the sky lightly golden, the water calm, and a strange softness in the air. The boat drifts slowly across the river. Daisy lets her hair flow in the wind. Benjamin looks at her, as if time itself has paused in that moment. That moment was bigger than any confession. No "I love you," no promises. Just two people who felt complete in each other's presence. One day, Benjamin is getting a haircut from his elderly friend, the same woman who had taught him piano. While cutting his hair, she suddenly says, "Life takes us away from the people who are special to us, so that we can truly understand their worth." Benjamin takes her words lightly, but the next morning, he sees she is no longer in this world. The woman who taught him not just music but the language of feelings is gone forever. That day, for the first time, Benjamin truly understands what it means to lose someone. Around 1930, when he was about to turn 17, he decides to leave the old age home. While packing his things, Daisy looks at him and says, "Don't forget to write to me." He smiles softly, as if making a promise. Then he leaves. He spends years working at sea. From every port, he sends Daisy postcards, and in return, Daisy's letters arrive. She has now become an aspiring dancer. Dance was her dream, and she was living it. Whenever the ship docked, the captain would take him out for drinks and fun. During one such trip, Benjamin stays at a hotel. In the elevator, he meets Elizabeth, the wife of a diplomat. First meeting was ordinary, but the next ones become special. The hotel kitchen, empty lobby, late-night quiet conversations. Slowly, the two grow closer. Benjamin writes to Daisy in a letter, "I've met someone, and I think I may have fallen in love with her." For some time, the two live in that hotel as if they were husband and wife. But one night, when Benjamin reaches the lobby, Elizabeth isn't there. He looks for her, searches everywhere, and exhausted, falls asleep on the lobby sofa. In the morning, he learns Elizabeth is gone. She leaves behind only a short note. "It was nice meeting you. This is as far as it goes." And just like that, it's over. During this time, news arrives. They would have to join forces with the Navy and work against German soldiers. Now their ship was about to become part of the war. One night, suddenly, the alarm goes off. Enemy ships are standing right in front of them. The sound of gunfire, flashes of fire in the darkness. The captain turns the ship straight toward the enemy. Firing begins from both sides. And then, a bullet hits the captain. The ship begins to lose control. In the middle of the battle, the situation suddenly becomes worse. An enemy submarine appears before them. Their ship crashes directly into it. There is a massive explosion. In that blast, the German submarine sinks. But almost everyone with Benjamin is killed. Somehow Benjamin survives. The next day, the US Navy arrives there and rescues him. Before the war, a sailor had given his entire savings to Benjamin. He had said, "If something happens to me, make sure this money reaches my family." Before returning home, Benjamin fulfills that promise. He delivers the money to the sailor's family. When Benjamin returns home, Queen is overjoyed to see him. She hugs him and says, "I prayed every night that you would come back safe." Then she says, "Remember what I told you?" Benjamin replies, "No one knows what tomorrow holds. That is the truth of life. The one who has nothing today may have everything tomorrow, and the one who has everything today may lose it all tomorrow." Sometime later, Daisy comes to the old age home. She had come to meet Queen. When Benjamin walks out, Daisy doesn't recognize him because he now looks much younger than before. But Benjamin recognizes her. He says, "Daisy, it's me." Daisy looks closely, then recognizes him and hugs him. Now Daisy has grown into a young woman, and Benjamin too now looks young. Their ages have moved differently, but now they appear almost the same. They begin spending time together. Daisy is deeply impressed by his personality. She had liked him since childhood, but now her feelings have grown deeper. Still, Benjamin steps back a little. He loves Daisy, but perhaps he isn't ready yet. The next day, Daisy returns to New York. Sometime later, Thomas Button comes to meet him. He is now very old and sick. He tells Benjamin that he is his real father. He says that his real mother's name was Caroline. For the first time, Benjamin sees a photograph of his biological mother. Thomas wants to transfer all his property into Benjamin's name. He has finally realized his mistake. But for Benjamin, his real mother was only Queen, because she was the one who raised him and loved him. Sometime later, Thomas dies, and all his property goes to Benjamin. In 1947, Benjamin travels to New York because he wants to see Daisy. There, Daisy has become a successful dancer, but now she also has a boyfriend. And Benjamin realizes time is changing, not just him, but everyone. Learning about Daisy's boyfriend hurts him deeply. He quietly begins to leave. He feels as if everything between them is over. Benjamin had actually come to tell Daisy about his father, but the circumstances never allowed him to say it. Daisy begins performing with her dance company in different cities. She has become an extraordinary dancer. On stage, she looks full of confidence. She keeps trying to forget Benjamin, but the truth is Benjamin has already made a place in her heart. Meanwhile, Benjamin keeps himself busy. Sometimes he goes traveling. Sometimes he immerses himself in work. But one day, he receives a letter carrying news of Daisy's accident. A taxi had hit her. Her leg was broken in several places. The doctor said she might never dance the same way again. Hearing this, Benjamin immediately goes to her. He wants to stay by her side and take care of her. But Daisy doesn't want to show him her weakness. She doesn't want him to see her broken. So, with a firm tone, she says, "You should go." Benjamin says nothing, but he doesn't leave the city either. He stays there, keeping track of her condition from a distance. When he is finally sure that Daisy is recovering, he quietly leaves. A few years later, Daisy herself comes to the old age home to meet him. This time things are different. No hesitation, no distance. They begin growing close again. A new chapter of love begins between them. They take a boat and head out toward the ocean together. Long rides, long conversations, and simply each other's company. This time, they wanted to hold on to time itself, but life turns again. One day, when Benjamin returns home, he learns his mother, Queen, is no longer in this world. The woman who had accepted him, raised him, and loved him the most is gone too. After Queen's passing, Benjamin makes another big decision. He sells his father Thomas's house, then he buys a small apartment for himself, where he and Daisy begin living together. Those were the most beautiful days of their lives. Time was playing a strange game. Benjamin was growing younger every day, and Daisy was slowly growing older. This truth troubles Daisy deeply. She starts her own dance school so that life can have a new purpose. One day, Benjamin smiles and says, "Look, now we're the same age." That's when Daisy tells him she is going to be a mother. But hearing this news, Benjamin cannot feel happy. He is afraid when the child grows up, he himself will grow smaller. When the child needs a father the most, he won't be able to stand beside her. Daisy says, "We'll figure it out." But Benjamin knows love alone won't be enough. One day, news appears on television. A woman has set a record by swimming across the English Channel. It was Elizabeth. Time passes. 9 months later, their daughter is born. They name her Caroline, after Benjamin's biological mother. This same Caroline would later read the diary and narrate it to her mother, Daisy. As Caroline begins to grow up, Benjamin's worry begins to grow too. He tells Daisy she needs a father, someone who can grow with her, not someone who keeps growing younger. Finally, he makes a decision. He will leave. He transfers his Button Company, the apartment, and all his property into Daisy's name so that Caroline can be raised well. Before leaving, he leaves behind many postcards for his daughter. In them he writes, "I wish I could drop you off at school, teach you how to play the piano, sit beside you when your heart breaks. I wish I could stay and be your father, but I cannot." Reading these words, Caroline breaks down in tears. Benjamin goes far away. Years later, he quietly returned. By now, Caroline has grown into a young woman. He meets her, but does not reveal that he is her father. Meanwhile, Daisy has married someone else. She has accepted this was the right decision. One night, Daisy meets him. Both admit their love never truly ended, but everything has changed now. Years later, the police find a child who remembers nothing about himself. In his bag is that same diary, and through it, he is brought to the old age home. That child is none other than Benjamin. He has now completely become a child. Slowly, he forgets how to speak, forgets how to walk. He remembers nothing of his entire life. Daisy takes care of him, just like Queen once took care of him. One day, Benjamin looks at her with a strange recognition in his eyes, as if he remembers everything, and then he becomes still forever. In the final scene, we return to the same hospital. Daisy lies on the bed, her breaths now very faint. Outside, loud sirens are echoing because of the storm. The entire city is flooding, and amid that noise, Daisy quietly takes her last breath. Then we are told some people are born to sit by the river and watch life pass by. Some are struck by lightning. Some are born to lose themselves in music. Some become artists. Some are swimmers. Some know the art of making buttons. Some live to understand Shakespeare. Some are born to become mothers. And some people are born to dance. Every person has their own story, their own purpose, their own direction. At that very moment, outside, the storm grows stronger. The rising water reaches that old clock, the same clock that once ran backward, that witnessed a life that moved against the rules of the world. And as the waves touch it, the story ends there. Time keeps moving, but some stories remain forever in the heart. And right there, the film comes to an end. Friends, how did you like the story? Be sure to let me know in the comments. Stay connected with the channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do it now. Share your thoughts openly, and don't forget to like the video. See you in the next video.